Hey everyone, I don't know if this is working. I had all these plans to use my laptop as a hub to be able to see what was on the phone and things like that, and then the Wi-Fi doesn't reach the garden, and of course I don't have access to using somewhere inside the house to be able to do it. So, and now it's telling me I had the orientation set incorrectly, and now it looks vertical, and I was hoping to do it horizontal, but you know, that's what it is. Now, the big thing for me here is that I don't know how to access the comments or anything on when I've got it only on the phone. I thought it would have come up on the screen, but it's not. So we're still figuring this out. Oh, there. Okay, that's cool. It's coming up on the bottom of the screen now. So it must just be a bit of a delay on it because I'm having to use 5G out in the garden because we have Starlink, but it doesn't reach this far and the children are making lots of noise. So, you know, we'll see. So luckily I have a fairly good phone. So, so hi everyone. Cool. I just thought I didn't get a voiceover done because I've just been too busy, and so I thought I'd do a Sunday chat because someone asked me if I was going to do a Sunday chat because I haven't done one for a while, and I thought, well, instead I will use this as a learning curve. I've got an iPhone 13 Pro, I think, but it's a 13 at least. So and this is the selfie camera. So the idea was that I was going to use my laptop and then be able to use the back camera on this one, so that then it would be a better quality and I'd have a bit more control over it, but it didn't work out that way. So this is what we've got. Hi everyone. I thought this was a good time because this would be about the time that I normally put a video out. So like, you know, 9 a.m. on a Sunday I'd normally put a video out, so I thought that people would be around. So that was the idea, was that there would be people around. Hi everyone. So I don't know if you can see the background? The kids have been out in the garden. So we've been working on getting everything cleaned up. So a lot of the weeds are gone. We haven't cut down the beds and stuff where I'm getting them to just chop all the plants that were in the beds, just chop them off at the base and stick them back in the beds, and I'm just going to put soil over the top of them to top up the beds as well. So I don't know how much you can see in the background, but it looks a lot better than it did, which is one of the things I was going to share with my Sunday chat, because Sonnet and Apollo have been doing it as part of their schoolwork, I suppose, over this week. The bedrooms are great. We still haven't got them sealed properly yet. Like the bedrooms themselves are sealed because they were a kit unit, so they're insulated and sealed and everything like that. But the ends of what I call a breezeway, except it's sealed, the ends of the breezeway still only have external cladding, not internal cladding yet. So we're getting a bit of breeze and that sort of thing. But what we wanted to source for the internal cladding of the end of the room is the fire retardant materials, so that we could put the pot belly there when we get a pot belly, and we just haven't got it cheap enough yet, so we're dealing with it. The current fire isn't keeping it particularly warm on that end, but we just wear extra clothes and have good jumpers on the beds and have good blankets on the beds and things like that, so it works okay. I don't know, we'll see how we go. Cooking today, what do I have on the plans today? There was something that I've still got tomatoes that I need to deal with. The tomatoes from the hamper, it's been a week, but they're sitting really well because the temperatures are so low, so I still need to deal with those, but I don't know that I've got anything else. Oh, the kids need more instant porridge. That's what I'll end up doing. Kids, I think that the whole eating and pickiness, I don't know, I suppose I put work in when they were little, because we did, like, you know, the baby-led weaning, and we allowed them to eat everything off our plates, and we just offered them everything. I think a lot of it is that, just offering them everything that we ate and hoping that they were going to eat that. And they have their likes and their dislikes like any kids, but I am pretty lucky. They are pretty good about eating most things, but I really don't know how I managed to do that. Freezing winds. It is cold here at the moment, yes. Not excessive, though I am in my beanie in the garden and there is a little bit of sunlight. There is rain forecast later in the week, and when we got rain forecast, then the the temperatures go up because of the low cloud cover. So I think the forecast for overnight is like 4 or 5 over the next few days, which is pretty warm for us. But we are low on wood. I did mention in one of the last videos that our chainsaw died and we got some wood cut, but we haven't we've run out of that wood, and so there's a new chainsaw, and I got it shipped on like last Monday and it hasn't even moved from Victoria, which is unfortunate. So, you know, it'd be nice for that. Animals with the cold weather, I think they're just used to it. They're really acclimated to it. The dogs there's an old caravan in our yard. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's an old caravan in the yard that we were going to turn into a room for one of the kids eventually. And when it flooded, it sunk, so at the moment it can't be used, but we leave it open and the dogs can sleep in there. So they've got that as an enclosed space. And the chickens, they're just getting used to it. Though Darryl is going to buy, he's at church this morning with a couple of the kids, which is why I did this now. And he is going to Pittsworth. They've got some small bales of mulch hay for sale for $7 each. So he's going to get a whole trailer full, and we're going to load up the chicken pens for that as well. My starter is not doing very well, Keza, at all. It is stored in the fridge most of the time, and I'm basically only using it for discard recipes. I cannot keep it going. It's just too cold. Though I did just get a new kit. Someone contacted me from T-Mars, which is a sourdough kit company on Amazon, and they offered to send me a kit which has one of the jars with the temperature gauge around it and things like that. I'll unbox that. It's still sitting in its box on my bench, but I've got that to give a go. So I'm going to try using that with my DIY proofer thing to try and get the starter at a more constant temperature. I did find that the pilot light so with the new oven, someone asked about the new oven too. The new oven is fantastic because it has a pilot light in it. And when that pilot light is on, I've got a temperature, like I've got a Bluetooth gauge or whatever in the oven so that I can see what temperature the oven runs at, because there's no real thermostat as such. And it was running it with I put a pot of boiling water in the bottom, and I got the inside of the oven to sit at like 21, 22 degrees. So that worked really well to proof yeasted dough. Someone asked about yeasted dough there too. I definitely have problems with the yeasted doughs as well, but I've got that DIY proofer that I made, so that works really well, so long as I start with warm water. But the oven works, so there's a little bit like that as a DIY proofer as well. Michelle, the DIY proofing box, I did show a photo of it. It's one of those front opening plastic containers from Kmart. I'll have to show it again. So it's just one of those plastic totes with a front opening thing, and I put a seedling mat in the bottom, so they only run at like 15 watts, and they don't do excessive heat, but it's enough that in that box it's creating sort of a humid atmosphere. And then I put a rack over the top of it, and I put the dough in there, and then the dough has to be like, you have to use warm water with the dough as well to kickstart that. If you're using cold water, it's not going to get it warm enough. And then I've been using it with a rack to put like trays of buns and stuff as well, so not just the dough itself. And then because it's got the front opening, it helps a lot there because it's not losing heat in that sort of thing. So it works really well. I'll make sure to go over that again next time I'm doing a video doing with some dough as well. Kids, ages and interests. So Kavik is, I always stuff this up and it makes me sound really bad. Kavik is 8. He's 9 in January. And then the twins are 10 in September. Surreal is 17 in August. Apollo just turned 13, and Sonnet is 11. Yes, I think she's 11. So that was 8, 10, 10, 11, 13, 17. And interest-wise, Sonnet is the crafter. She definitely is into anything hands-on or anything like that. Apollo really likes mechanical, like engineering type stuff. Like my mum bought him a robotic hand for Christmas, I think, one that you put together with hydraulics, so you had to use a syringe to insert water to create the hydraulics, and the hands opened and closed. He really enjoyed that. Surreal is very much into teenage girl stuff. She really likes drawing, and she does pen pals. There's a couple of ladies that I've had on Facebook or YouTube or whatever who have daughters who are similar age, and she does letters backwards and forwards. So if anyone has anyone else who does that, that would be great, because she because it's sometimes weeks between letters because it's going such a distance. So if she's got like half a dozen of them going on, then it'll be less weight between them. So if anyone has daughters who are, you know, that sort of a teenage years, she's fairly young for 17. She's not really into a lot of your average 17-year-old things, but she likes drawing, and she's been playing Parlia on the Switch, which is some sort of a community game type thing. I think she'd really like there's that one out with the critters that is a community game, but it's like $80. So maybe for Christmas, that one, I can't remember what it's called, but she does that a lot. So she does, what else does she do? What else have we got? The twins are very much into imaginative play. So they really like the certain themed things, like they like different cartoon type themed things, and Animal Crossing, yes, that's it. Then I buy them little like stuffies of that themed thing, and they love to do imaginative play with those. So they do a lot of time spent creating cubby houses for them, or little huts and things like that, and they use them in that play. So I buy them a lot of stuffed toys. I know that seems strange for 10-year-olds, or little figurine type things. They very much enjoy that sort of thing. Kavik just likes to be involved with everyone else. So I don't know what his exact... I think he's just the baby of the family, so he just likes being with everyone else. Hi Anna, Stephanie, Donna. I am in between Goondiwindi and MILLMERRAN, so about an hour and a half west of Toowoomba, in a sort of a pocket of sort of like a bit of a desert. We have our moments of green, but they're fleeting. Someone asked before too about mowing. No, we don't mow, but we do have geese and the guinea fowl and stuff, so sometimes we let them in to clean up some of the grass and the bugs and things like that, because the dogs don't care if they come in the yard. But generally speaking, we don't have enough grass to mow. We get weeds, so we get lots of clumps of weeds, but not much in the way of sort of grass. Collabs wise, I got the sourdough one just recently. I haven't had much lately. The problem, I think, is that I am not necessarily very good at doing the videos on like exactly how they want them done for the collabs. So I don't get offered as many and the ones that I do get offered, I always come back and say, look, I'm not really into doing a video that's purely on that subject. Like, that's not really my thing. Like, I am happy to incorporate something into the videos that I already do, but making a video specifically for a collab is really quite challenging for me. As anyone who's watched most of the stuff, I film what I'm doing, not necessarily specific. Even shorts, I've been trying really hard to film some stuff for shorts, and I really struggle because I'm filming it on purpose and it's a lot of work and I am never happy with it. Whereas most of the stuff that I do, I'm purely filming exactly what I'm doing, and that's what I share, and that's why it's messy and it's all over the place and things like that. But I don't really have the time to create content for the sake of creating content, if that makes sense. So I think a lot of the collab companies aren't real interested because of that, because they'd much prefer me doing something specific for them, and I'm just not capable of doing that. So, we'll see. Costco pork, Amanda, it's such a good buy, isn't it? I have 2 left in the fridge actually that still need processing, but the best before dates aren't until the 20-something, so they've been put off for a little bit. I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing with them this month, but I really want to make some more sausages, but I got no more sausage skins or anything, so I might have to order them for next run. I would never move back to the city. Some of the kids I'm sure will. That was for Danielle. I'm not interested in going back to that sort of a lifestyle. I really enjoy what we're doing. There's a lot of cons to it, of course, like any lifestyle, but I think there's a lot of cons to city life as well. So, it just depends. It's hard work, and it's very judged by a lot of people, but I think that's because they wouldn't choose. I've had a lot of comments recently that I always just answer politely and leave it alone, but a lot of comments recently about the style of living and why, and the mess and all that sort of thing. But I think I'm well aware of exactly what I judge myself just as harshly as everybody else. So in the end, they're not saying anything that I don't already know. So, you know. Yay for the Ekka, Sharon. I used to go to the Ekka every year when I lived in Brisbane, but it's expensive. I don't think and cold. I don't think I'd do that again anymore. The oven is working really well, Darren. It's still a learning curve. The stovetop doesn't seem to burn as hot as the Camp Chef, which makes sense. And the oven is, because it's commercial, it has the flame goes on and off all the time. So trying to keep that stable temperature, I'm still working on that. But I've got a Bluetooth thermometer in there, so I'm working on it. But it's so nice to have so much space. I can fit 4 half cookie sheets in there, so I can do 4 trays of whatever I want at the same time, and that's amazing for cutting down the time. My shoulder is a lot better than it was, but still pretty sore. The GP says suspected bursitis with a rotator cuff impingement or something along those lines. So if that's what it is, it's sort of not something that's fixable either. So I have to go and get an ultrasound, and I can get a cortisone injection if I want in there, but I'm just resting it for the moment, and we'll see how it goes. If it settles down, I'll just leave it for the moment and I'll follow it up later. Creepy crawlies, you just sort of get used to it. We don't get many snakes because we've got geese, we've got guinea fowl, we've got dogs. So we've got 3 big dogs, and we've got the guinea fowl and the geese, and they keep a lot of them away. And the ones that we do, we just sort of avoid them and they avoid us. The biggest problem we had recently was the goannas, because of they were stealing the eggs, and that wasn't because we dislike goannas. Goannas are lovely, but man, the egg stealing was horrific. So we're actually in the process of deciding what we're going to do to try and fix that up with the chicken pens. We're going to get some metal rails to put netting over so that we can close up the top a little bit better around the trees and stuff. So we'll get there with that. But you know, what else have we got? Sewing, yes. The Sonnet has really taken to doing some different sewing and crocheting stuff, though we're still struggling with I'm still struggling with teaching Sonnet to crochet and knit because she's left-handed, and I've been given heaps and heaps of tips, but I'm still struggling a little bit. I think the attention span factor is a little lacking there as well, but I've bought her different like cross-stitch kits, and she like the little, you know, the stuffed toy kits where you can sew the stuffed toys together and things like that, and she enjoys doing most of that sort of thing. I have sewing machines and cover stitches and overlockers, and I haven't had anywhere to set them up, but now that we've rearranged, I've actually got a small sewing room, sort of. It's a walkthrough, but it's, you know, sewing room that I've got to set up because we need to sew a bunch of different things. I've got a whole lot of fabric to make the kids summer shorts, and we need to make some cloth pads and some face washes and things like that. So they'll pick that up more too. I think Sonnet was really interested in learning how to use a sewing machine and stuff too. So we will definitely look at that. That was for Kerry. Cast iron pans for Gabby. The cast iron, the Pyrolux, I actually think I got them off Catch of the Day way back when. They're Pyrolux brand, so they weren't the high end of cast iron, but I don't have any problem with them. I find that they work quite well. They're nice heavy base, they heat up well, they season well, and all that sort of thing. And they had the square ones as well as the round ones, though I am now having trouble finding lids for the square ones. The round ones, a lot of round lids fit, but they don't. But I'm pretty sure I got them from Catch of the Day originally, so they were Pyrolux brand, and I think I've seen them on Amazon as well. So, well, but there. Donna, temperature here is somewhere between 6 and 10. I'm not real sure. It's not cold, but the breeze is pretty chilly. It got down to -2. Well, that might have been the night before, but I don't think I've checked what the temperature got down to this morning. But last night it was -2.5 or something. Jane, peacocks. Yeah, I don't have any peacocks because we try not to free range birds too much, only because we had issues with dogs on the property, though that was before we had our own dogs. So we've got the free-range geese, mind you, but they were just turned up. And we've got the free-range turkey. I don't know if I mentioned the turkey. So the turkey that we called Albert, I posted about it a while ago, and we were guessing whether it was male or female. Well, it was female because it laid eggs. But there's no males, so the eggs were infertile. So I put a bunch of chicken eggs underneath her. And she hatched chicken eggs. But because her nest was out in the middle of nowhere, she didn't look after them very well, because she'd walk them, and then the guinea fowl would come near, or the geese would come now, or whatever, and she'd run off to chase them away and leave the little babies just chirping, and we lost some of them, probably to crows and things like that. So we ended up managing to catch the babies, and we put them in a pen and got her into the pen as well. So at the moment she's in a pen with 3 little chicken babies, which is very cute. We don't see them much. I haven't taken footage or anything because it's so cold that most of the time they're underneath her. But we get some warmer sunny days, I'll try and get some footage. It was very cute. So Albert is a girl, for anyone who wasn't sure what she was, because we weren't sure. And we may have to get her a friend at some point because she laid like 20 eggs, and she was such a good mum. She stayed on that nest for the whole time. So it was really cool. What else have we got? Garden and fruit trees. So the garden, I think I'm getting behind on comments now because I'm scrolling through, so I might start missing some. But the garden, so we're going to give it a really good push again this year. The gardens we've done, so we had that fantastic year, and then from that point forward it's gone downhill. So last year we invested in all the raised beds and things like that, and it started out really well, and then we got inundated with the bush rats and the bugs, and it went downhill. So we're going to put a bit of money into it again. This is what YouTube helps pay for. We're going to put a little bit of money into it again, top up all the beds, and we're going to build covers for all the beds, Avery mesh ones so that the rats can't get in, and then with the netting over the top for things like our brassicas and stuff, which we always do to stop the cabbage moth and things like that. I'm not real sure how it's going to work with tomato plants, mind you, but I don't think the rats harass the tomatoes anywhere near as much as they did everything else, so we will see. I've let a few things go, like I've let some beetroot grow for the second year so that we can harvest seeds, and I've got a whole bed of garlic going at the moment, which is going okay. But other than that, there's not much going. We've got huge rosemary and stuff like that, but not much going on. So that's why the kids are out here cleaning up the garden space. The plan is to get my hothouse cleaned up as well, and then start seeds for this year. I normally do it around about the beginning of August. I don't start them any earlier because we still have frosts all the way through into September, so it's just not worthwhile. I'm going to grow a whole bunch of extra seedlings for a friend as well, and we'll see how we go with that, and then see what happens with the gardens. But the plan is to spend the next sort of month, 6 weeks, really pushing to get this set up properly so that we can give it one really good push. The fruit trees are doing okay, but the geese are harassing them. So we need to build some netting around them to stop the geese from harassing the trunks of them. So when we fertilize and remulch and stuff, we'll put some surrounds around each of the fruit trees, and they are growing every year, just very slowly. But we always knew it was going to be a long-term sort of a thing, but we'll see. Yes, PO box is somewhere in the description of most comments of most videos if anyone wants to look at it. Day in the lives are hard, and most of that's just because I forget to pull my phone out, to be honest. That's the main reason they're difficult. I will cook a meal and then I'll serve it up and sit at my desk and then go, whoops, I didn't film any of that. Which is why the camera works so well, because it's on a tripod, so I just point the camera at the kitchen bench, and then when I'm editing, I edit it in and out sort of thing. But pulling my phone out to make specific content, which is why I struggle with shorts as well, is making things a little bit difficult, but bird flu, Sandra. I think that you have to be aware of it, but I'm not particularly concerned about it as yet. We have netting over all of the chicken pens, so the idea is that we don't get wild birds into the chicken pens eating the food, and that should help to a degree. but there's not much we can really do about it other than be aware of it. So we'll just have to, just see what happens with, that sort of thing. What else have we got? Amanda, the water is definitely an issue, but that's why we're setting up, I don't think, there's a big tank here. So the plan was always to set up some irrigation with the big 200 litre barrels per 2 beds with drip irrigation, and then that way we can go and get a 1,000 litre pod from the bore. Oh, my nose is running, sorry. We can get a 1,000 litre pod from the bore with water in it, and we can just fill up the tanks along each bed and then just let it drip out, and then that way it will hopefully be something that we can consistently do. We just get that 1,000 litre pod twice a week, fill those buckets, and it will self-water. That's the plan, but we will see how it goes because it didn't work last year, so we're still working on that. What else have we got? Marie, we have pigs. We have 3 pigs, but 2 of them are pets. They're desexed miniature pigs, and the other one is a whole boar. And the idea was to get a female sow for him, and breed some piglets. But we have just found out recently that the abattoir that used to accept pigs for slaughter and then they would take it to the butcher and you could purchase it that way, are not accepting certain types of pigs and stuff now unless they're specific breeds. So I'm going to have to look into that a little bit before we decide that, because it's not worth me breeding pigs because we won't do the slaughtering here. We have enough trouble with chickens. So we won't be doing anything big. I wouldn't do cows though. We don't have any pasture, so the cost of feeding them would just be far too high for us. What else have I got? Michelle, major planned purchase. The kitchen is the next thing. So we have the metal framework on order for the roof of the kitchen, and we've already got the roofing secondhand. So we've got that sorted. But the next thing is some of the insulated panels to create the pantry and things like that. We also are building a new little off the house. So we use a composting toilet, and we want to get one of the larger ones which requires more clearance under the floor, and our building doesn't have that clearance at the moment, so we are going to build on a little bit of an extra piece that's up slightly higher so that the new composting toilet has the clearance it requires underneath the floor. So we need to get that done. But the gardens and the chicken pens are probably the next thing. Nothing huge. We don't have anything huge planned. The rooms were a really big investment, and until I get that sorted and we get on top of all that, we probably don't have anything particularly big going on. Donna, yes, we use the extensions completely. It's not 100% sealed. It can get a little breezy in there, but we are sleeping in them and everything, and that is amazing to have that extra space. Christmas, budgeting Christmas. I don't budget Christmas as such because I start buying early on. So there's already been things purchased and put away, mainly in Mum's spare room. So I think that's the way I budget, is by purchasing slowly through the year so that I don't have to worry about a huge expense at the end of the year. I think that's how we budget it. But we don't spend a whole lot either. So there's the next door neighbours are here at the moment so they're at their property, and they only come on weekends, and on weekends they do some construction work and things like that. They're building in their shed, and they've got a tractor and some quads and stuff, which is why the dogs are going off, because they can hear someone over there and they're just not used to it. So hopefully that's not too loud. Christmas, yes, we don't spend a whole lot. Mostly what we spend extra is food. So, and that just means that Christmas budget, that Christmas grocery shop is a bit higher. So I've already planned when that will be. I think it's the 18th of December or something, the week before Christmas. So I've got 3 grocery trips, supply runs, whatever you want to call them, before Christmas. And I think that's more what I budget than actual gifts and things like that. Michelle, most used kitchen tool. Well, I use my Thermomix a real lot, which is good because it's an expensive investment. But scales, I suppose. I use my scales a lot. They are always on hand, really just right there to be able to use. So I can't think of it. We use a lot of wooden tools, like a lot of wooden stirring spoons and things like that. But my Thermomix and my scales are probably my big thing. I think I don't know. I'd have to have a think about that one. What else have we got here? Shelley, the girls very much enjoy their new rooms. They have enjoyed the space, and the boys have enjoyed spreading out. So it used to be all 6 kids between 2 rooms. The 4 boys were in 2 sets of bunks, and then the girls were in a set of bunks in their room. And now Apollo and Kavik are in their single set of bunks. It's a double underneath, single on top in one room, and the twins are in the other room. They decided to keep both sets of bunks in there, but they both sleep on the top, so they're using the bottom bunks as sort of storage for toys and things like that. So they're all enjoying having that little bit of extra space and being able to spread out that little bit. Yeah, it's definitely been nice. Emus, no, I haven't seen any emus, and we haven't actually seen any kangaroos or wallabies much lately either since the last lot of fires. So I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen an emu. We did see some prints from some pigs recently that were on the property because I bought new harnesses and stuff for the dogs last shopping trip so that the kids could take the dogs more safely walking through the property because they were pulling at the collars too much. So I bought them full harnesses and stuff. We're trying to get some training done with these dogs, but unfortunately we have been a little bit slack. And they did see some pig prints, but I don't think I've ever seen anything like emus or anything, but don't know. I do have some footage of wallabies and kangaroos, and they used to come through at dusk quite often, but then we had those big fires and we haven't seen them much lately. Spiders. Spiders are a bit ick, but we leave most of them alone because they eat the other bugs. So inside, no. The huntsmans are our big thing. If you see a huntsman walking past, we squash it because it's in the house. But outside, we just ignore them. And we have lots of these little black bugs, little black house spiders that live all up in the ceiling of the patio. And in summer, it's a little bit creepy because the roof must get hot, so they hang down on their webs, which is a bit gross. But we have a lot of native birds, these parrots. They're green and blue, and they're really pretty. They're king parrots and that. And they come in and they will eat the spiders off the inside of the roof. So that's kind of fun to watch. They'll come flying in and they'll come and sit on the fans and then go up to the roof, the ceiling, and they'll eat all the bugs off there, all the spiders off there. So that's kind of fun. We have 20 acres. Everyone just ignore Jack. It's irrelevant. I thought about getting a mod for the chat when I was talking to a friend, Amanda, from Rockpile. She said that they had a mod for their comments, but I decided that this was all going to be too difficult, so I wasn't going to do it. And to get a mod as well, so we just ignore people who, what else? I think the spiders are in most countries, but I think that they're more visible here sometimes, which I think is why people think that we have so many. I think that they're more likely to be in your house and in your living space here than they are in other places, and I think that's because of our weather too. So I don't know. James, that's cool having the kangaroos there. Yeah, we used to have them, but the last lot of fires we just haven't seen many at all. So I don't know whether they've created a new path, like a new evening way to go through or something. I'm not sure, but we haven't. I don't know. I can't remember when we last got them regularly, but I think it was before the last lot of fires. But maybe it was the set of fires before that, because the fires before that crossed the highway and they burnt the whole back of the property, like right on the highway. So maybe that's what caused the issues. I'm not sure. Shopping with not much storage. I don't know. I use crates a lot, and I think that is something that everyone could use, especially if they were like under bed crates and things like that. You have to be aware of what you're storing and making sure that there's no bugs and things like that, and making sure that what you're storing is sealed so that if something is contaminated, it's not going to contaminate everything else, and you don't want any bugs in your house, so that becomes difficult. But we have the crates with stuff loaded in there, and those crates are stacked in various different places so that everything's sealed in there. But it's a hard one with storage if you're going to be shopping for extended periods of time and you need the larger quantity of things to be stored and not having the space. I think we're lucky in that even though we're limited on space, we're also not limited on space. Like we've got lots of like just the places we can stash stuff, even if it's not necessarily a pantry and things like that. What else have we got? Just ignore Jack. Don't care. Yeah, I definitely think the kangaroos, it was the fires, and I think it might just be the path that they used to take, because they tend to be in the same spot at like dusk and dawn most days. Like that's the way they work, the diurnal and all the rest of it. So maybe it's purely just that the path that they used to take got fire through it, and so now they've done a slightly different path. I'm not sure. I don't really know how it works. I just know that we haven't seen them lately. I don't know how to block him, so if you guys can block him, feel free. Janie, the new building is great. It's the extra space has been amazing. It's still a little cold. We do need to get a second fire. So we're looking at secondhand fires, and a couple of people have sent me links on Marketplace and stuff, and it's been great, but I haven't found exactly what we were looking for. And I think that what we're going to do, there's a company called Surreal in New Zealand. I'll have to remember to put a link in. And they do these little tiny house potbelly type stoves, cast iron ones. And I think that that's all we'd need to add that little bit of extra heat into the new space, because the other one, it heats through, just not adequately. And this little one has really small timber that you can use in it. So I think that it'll be really great because it won't increase our timber load too much, and it won't overheat the space, because I think if we got anything too large for that space, it would be too much. So I've been on the hunt for like little potbelly type stuff, which is a lot harder to find. And then some of the people sell them secondhand, but they don't have flues with them, and flues are almost as expensive as fireplaces. So I think I'll have to remember to put a link. So Spiralock, it's in New Zealand, it has these little tiny, they also do the hot tub heating, hot water system things, which I think are really cool. So I think that's what we can do. But it's about $1,900 New Zealand dollars. So it's a significant investment. So what we decided was that we would push our way through this winter without anything, with the aim to be able to afford that for next winter, so that we can do it exactly how we want it, sort of thing. Being that it's all the new extension and that sort of thing, we'll I think that that's what we'll do. Jen, bush rats, they're like little mini possums, like this sort of big. They're a significant size. They can get to a significant size if they're allowed to go. They are, because they're a bush rat, not a rat. We don't have any brown rats or anything like that. Like we don't have rodent type rats. We've only got these native possum type rats. They're not so bad because they don't chew through things. So they will eat food that's left out. Or like, if there's fruit and veg or scraps or something that the kids haven't taken out to the chickens, which they're supposed to do every evening and things like that. So there isn't any food left out, being that our outdoor area is our dining area. But they don't chew through things. So they don't chew through wires, they don't chew through, or not in my experience here, they don't chew through wires, they don't chew through plastic containers, they don't even really chew through like paper containers, like or plastic thin containers. The field mice do, but we don't have any field mice anymore because we've got the cats, so the cats control the field mice. But the bush rats tend to only go for food and stuff that is available, and they're not as destructive. Like the destruction of property that like rodent type black brown rats can do, I've seen is huge. So I'm very glad that the bush rats aren't like that. They tend to just go for food that's available. So we are going to lift the patio floor. So at the moment the patio floor is only like 90 mil off the ground, which makes it difficult to control them as well because they go underneath the floor. But the floor is lower. We have a step down from the house to the floor. So the plan is to lift that floor up higher so that it's more meeting the house, which will allow us to control the situation a little bit better. But having the cats has definitely helped. There are far less around because the cats chase them. So but they are a native and they are protected. So we do have live catch traps too, live live catch traps. That doesn't sound right. Live, whatever it is, the traps that catch them live for them to be relocated. But the thing is that they can travel like a kilometer a night and things like that. So they can come back seeking the rest of their family and things like that. So mostly we have to just get along and not leave things that keeps them attracted to where we are. And it's unfortunate, but it just means that I sanitize every surface every morning and things like that, and we deal with it. So, you know. Homeschool curriculum, we have a very eclectic homeschool curriculum. We use a lot of online stuff that is based around the standardized curriculum for Queensland. So like we have an IXL membership, and I have Twinkle, and I have we did used to do reading eggs. We don't do reading eggs anymore because the kids are all a little bit older now, but we did have that. We did do Yucca for a while, which is like a complete thing, but we haven't done that for a while because we found it wasn't working for us for the way we were doing it. So basically we pull things from a lot of places. Teachers Pay Teachers has some awesome resources for using with like books and stuff for like comprehension type stuff, or you know, the book Surreal was reading the Tomorrow When the War Began stuff, and so then we would get some stuff for that to do through there. So yeah, a very eclectic mix, and it's really catered to each child. Michelle, eggs. Yes, we are getting some eggs again now. Not a huge amount, but we are getting some eggs. Just a sec. Yes, Lorcan. Yes. The eggs. Yes, we are getting eggs. Not huge amounts, but we are getting eggs. Probably 6 to 10 a day, which is still fairly low for us, but it's definitely helping. Amber, I wear the amber. I think I've explained it before that when I was breastfeeding my kids, I had some really serious issues with psoriasis and things like that, and I used to wear sterling silver, and I was getting some severe rashing, so I went to amber because it was supposed to be hypoallergenic. The twins wore amber in 2 different colors because we couldn't tell them apart without it, which I feel free in saying that we used those different coloured amber necklaces for 3 years to help us tell them apart, and especially for other people to help tell them apart. So they had amber and the kids had amber, so I got it as well, and it works really well. I like wearing something around my neck and it doesn't give me a rash, so that's basically why I use it. I know that there is a lot of things about the oils can help with analgesics and things like that. I have no idea. I wear it because I like the look of it and it doesn't give me a rash. The Sunday videos. I know, Samantha, I've been really slack. I really should do more, but I've been slack. More just that I didn't have huge amounts to share on the Sunday chats. Like the gardens weren't doing anything and all that sort of stuff. But as we come into getting all that fixed, I'll try and remember to do that as well. Yeah, Sarah, a small cast iron little potbelly made for tents and yurts and things like that. That uses only the small timber. I think that's ideal is using the small timber so that we don't have to try and create more work by having more of that larger timber, because we're just moving the heat further. We're not trying to heat the whole space. We're just creating a little bit more. So yeah. Gas with the new oven. So we buy just barbecue bottles, just the 8.5 kilo, 9 kilo gas bottles, because it's convenient. So there's a swap and go at the service station that's about 15-20 minutes down the road, and then in town, Rafts, the hardware place, they do, and feed store, they do refills, so we can get them refilled there. We're tracking the gas usage, so I have a little chart in my phone and I track whenever we change gas. So we have multiple gas bottles, 8 to 10 of them, because we use them on different things. So there's one on the barbecue, which we're not using very much at the moment, and we may end up not having one hooked up there. One on the Camp Chef, one on the new stove, and one on our hot water system. So that way we've got spares for each of those things, and then we only take 2 at a time to get refilled. So I'll let you know how the gas goes once I've worked on it, because we've been leaving the pilot light running too, so I've been tracking it to see how I go. But it really depends on how much cooking I'm doing in that point too. So Sarah, cold does get here. I have a weather station, and the coldest we have got is -8. But when the sun comes up, it warms up. So, even if it gets to -8 at sort of the coldest point is around about somewhere between 5:30 and 7 a.m. Before the sun comes up. By the time the sun comes up, the temperature just starts climbing by degree as soon as the sun comes up. So we don't have cold days as such. Cold for us, but not super cold. So that's good. Kids after schooling. The Surreal would like to do something medical. She was talking about vets, or like two extremes, but she was talking about vets at one point. She was talking about dental nurse at one point. So something along those fields. So we have encouraged doing some single unit studies on anatomy and physiology and things like that, along with her standardized schooling. But she's 17 this year, so she needs to just figure out what she wants to try and focus on, I suppose. And then if it's not going to work, then she needs to pick another focus. But we're happy to support the kids indefinitely while they figure it out. So I think one of the pigs is making noise. I was just wondering what it was. So we're happy to support her to figure it out, and she can work within the home and earn some spending money until she figures out what she wants to do. But I'm happy for her to study for as long as she needs to study. So we'll see what we want to do. Sonnet talks about doing engineering, but we'll see. She's only 10, 11, so she's got plenty of time. And Apollo is into animating and computer game building and things like that. So for the moment, that's what we've got him focusing on too. But we'll just see where they go as they get older and make their decisions. What else have we got? Thanks for reporting, Jack. I don't know how to do it anyway, and I'm pretty good at ignoring people. The mouse plague, James, was horrific. We were catching 12 to 20 of them a night in those bucket traps, which is why we got the cats too. They slowed down before we got the cats, but we got the rescue cats, and they are great mouses, which is fantastic because that was sort of the purpose of having them. But they leave the chickens alone, and they don't have any problems. The only thing is that we have to keep them separated from the dogs because the dogs are a little overzealous. Hi Maria, hi Diana. What else? Where are we? Elizabeth. Michelle, yes, I think that getting the whole 6 years and still getting there and still improving is definitely the big thing. And that whole progress, not perfection, is definitely on the cards. And I know a lot of people would have, struggled, but this is to continue to keep going even when things haven't felt like they're improving that much. But when I look back, I can see the significant improvements. Water tank, yes. So we collect water from town in 1,000-litre pods. I think what happened with the running, because I think that's only the second time we've ever run out of water. And I think what happened was that we had all that rain. And so because we had all that rain, we kind of got slack with collecting water because there was all this rain. But the thing is that not a lot of it was hitting the tanks. So I think that just there was a lot of constant small rain, but not enough to make a significant impact on the tanks. And now that because a little while ago we bought the automatic washing machine rather than using the twin tub. And I think that makes us a little less aware of the water we're using as well, because it's automatic rather than sitting there and using a hose to fill the twin tubs. So, but I think that's only it's second time in the entire time we've lived here that we've completely run out of water. And it was, but we still had, the Berkeys were still full of water. So there was still drinking water for everyone. I just didn't want to use it to make coffee when we were waiting on getting the next load. Melinda, the solar, I can do, we actually are waiting on a new inverter, and we're trying to install a small system out the back with some lithium batteries too. So I'll make sure that I update as we go along with that, because it's going to be a little bit of a juggle to get that working as well. Carrie, off-grid. There was a lot of circumstances that caused the off-grid. There is a video about it. A lot of it was that we owned some franchises and there was issues with the franchises. Darryl had pretty much a complete mental breakdown, and we couldn't run the businesses anymore. And then the house that we were living in, we were supposed to be buying. We were renting it. We were supposed to be buying it. And that fell through because the businesses fell through because of Darryl's health and things like that. So we actually bought this property as a like a weekender. That was the intent, was a weekender with a maybe one day we'd live on it sort of thing. And it all just happened to a point where we didn't have a choice, so we moved out here, and I don't regret it for a second. So the reason for off-grid was we were trying to make it a choice for later on, but in the end, the reason we moved off-grid was because we didn't have much of a choice. But yeah, we're here, and I wouldn't change it for a thing. So what else have we got? Where are we? Michelle, the pizza oven. Yes, we do use the pizza oven, but it is on the barbecue, which we shifted to put the new oven in. And I don't make pizza as often in winter because it's lengthy. So like it takes me a fair bit of time from the beginning of the video to the beginning of I'm reading comments while I'm talking, the beginning of making the pizza towards by the time we've made 8 of them, and once it gets dark, it gets cold. So pizza is more for us more of a summer thing than a winter thing. But with the barbecue that we've got too at the moment only has 4 burners, and only one of those pizza ovens will fit on top of it. So the idea is eventually that I'll upgrade to a 6-burner barbecue so that 2 of those pizza ovens will fit on it, and I think that will cut down the time and it will make it a lot more efficient to make them for dinner. So Diana, no, we don't get snow. It doesn't stay cold enough once the sun comes up, though we did apparently get some sleet last week or whatever with all this crazy weather, but no, we get frosts, but it warms up as soon as the sun comes up, very much like a desert. It's very desert type, arid type sort of temperatures and things like that. The dog's water freezes all the time, James. I have to go out there and break the dog water all the time, and the pipes freeze up occasionally. We don't have too much issue, but again, they're in black piping, so they warm up as soon as the sun comes up. Food prep device that get referral dollars for. I use a Thermomix, and I'm a consultant for Thermomix, so I get a referral for that if people wish to buy that. But that's a big, significant investment. I think it's well worthwhile, but it's not something I sell very often. I also have an affiliate code for Louvel, which is the mincer that I use that I absolutely adore. So if anyone's after a mincer, I do get some referrals, some affiliate funds from Amazon, but I'm really slack at linking things on Amazon. And the Kavik, the ice cream molds, things like that. There's lots of little bits and pieces, but I'm not very good at the whole marketing thing. So I think Janie, we're in a little bit of a hollow, like a little bit of a valley or something, which is because sometimes the temperatures here are a lot lower than even like a suburb over. So I think it's definitely a microclimate too, because we have the weather station up on the roof, which I'm looking to upgrade to. The weather station I've got at the moment, I have to put an SD card in to get all the reports. I really like a Wi-Fi one, so that's on my list to purchase so that I can have like daily uploads, whatever you want to call it, to my phone or my computer to track the weather rather than having to put an SD card in there. But you know, it's a small thing. That's a first world problem, isn't it? Whatever. Kerry, I'm still working on the logistics of the mugs and things like that, and the drink bottles and stuff. I think I'm just finalising which artwork I want to use and things like that, and I have been a bit slack. But we're also going to do some stickers and stuff too, which means that it'll be less for shipping to outside of Australia. So, and the kids are going to help me with that too, and the whole point is to get them involved in some of that merch as well. So it's just a slow process for me to get all that done because we just don't have a lot of spare time. Melinda, that'd be great if you could send me a link. A solar wall heater. I haven't seen one of them before, so I'll have a Google, but if you can send me a link, that would be cool. Thank you. Darryl's at church at the moment, so he's not here to do his hand waving, but I thought it was a good time to do this while there was less kids around. So we've only been interrupted once. That's pretty good, and he was just asking if he could make tea. So what else? Elizabeth, yes, it is. And it's vaguely uncomfortable. Sharon, the cost of food hasn't affected me hugely because of the food that we buy, I think is the main thing. Because we don't buy a lot of pre-made processed things, whilst some stuff has gone up, like olive oil. Olive oil is so expensive. Other than that, I haven't seen a huge increase in a lot of things. Obviously, there has been an increase in my budget and the dollars spent, and that's because we have increased our portion sizing and for the kids and stuff. Like, the kids are eating far more than they used to. So that has made an impact on what we're spending per, week or whatever else. But it hasn't really, I haven't seen a huge increase in a lot of things. Olive oil has been definitely one that has totally thrown me with the cost of, but most other things I still feel like we're spending similar amounts on a per item basis. So, I do the 8 to 9 weeks between shopping trips, Elizabeth, because the travel required. So it's a 3.5 sort of ish hour drive away to go to somewhere that I can access a whole bunch of places at the same time, which is the purpose of going that far, because there's a Costco and things like that. And I'm lucky that my mum lives there so that I have free accommodation to stay overnight. I don't have to do it all in one day. But also it's sort of to do with budgeting as well, because of the cash flow that we get in. Like, YouTube pays on a monthly basis, and Darryl does Dungeons and Dragons conversions for virtual tabletops, and that project, sometimes it can be like a 6-month project. It might be 6 months before he gets paid for this project that he's been doing. So we get influxes of money in bursts rather than consistently. I used to do transcription typing. I still do it, but the quantity of work that I was getting was reduced through the company, and so I don't have that to rely on as much. But that was twice monthly, which helped keep that sort of thing. But now, to be able to make the most of it is why we're going the 8 to 9 weeks between sort of things. So family favorite foods. The kids love pesto pasta, which is such a simple dish, but that is the thing. If I don't feel like cooking, that is the thing that Surreal will make and everyone will eat. We get requests for pizza quite often. We do bolognese a lot. Really, I don't know, like okonomiyaki is requested for breakfast a lot. Dutch baby pancakes in spring and summer when we've got plenty of eggs, they're always requested for breakfasts and pancakes and things like that. But what did I do the other day? I did those, the rounds of ham in a muffin tin with eggs cracked in top and then baked, and that went over really well too. So I think my kids are pretty easy to please. So, and sorry, yes, I just see that, Sharon. Yes, the cost of food, I don't think it has made as much effect because I'm not buying processed stuff. So yeah. Gabby, the 20 acres, not so much, no. We bought that because this was the size of the blocks that are out here. All the blocks are 20 acres. We don't have pasture, so there's not exactly it's not exactly something that we would put grazing animals or anything like that on. We considered goats at one point, but we'd have to put some pretty extensive fencing on it. Realistically, more living space if that's what's needed. It's like if the kids decide that they want to stay on the property, then they can always build something elsewhere on the property, like close but not too close. But other than that, we don't really have many plans for the property. What else have we got? Yeah, I should have sorted mod out, but I didn't really know how, and we're coming up to an hour anyway, so I probably need to cut it off. We've started getting a whole bunch of people in that have obviously found it anyway, so let me just check through if I've got what else we've got here. Olive oil is extremely dear, but I use it for mayo. That's my main thing, so anyway. Avocado oil used to be much more expensive than olive oil. Has it changed now? I'll have to have a look at that, but it used to be far more expensive than olive oil, so I probably will try and pull the silhouette out for stickers, but I might get them printed elsewhere just because of space and time and all that sort of thing. So if I get the silhouette out, that's a good one for doing small runs of things for the kids too. So if they want to do some of their own artwork, then that will work for, you know, that. So what else have we got? I hate this pausing while I'm reading it, but you know. I don't tend to glass eggs because we still do get a fair few eggs during winter normally, but we had the goanna problems as well. So we do get a lot in spring and summer, but we tend to just eat more in spring and summer, or we cook them up for the dogs, or we use them raw in dog food, or cook them up for the chickens and things like that. So we don't get huge amounts, but as we increase the flock, it might be something that I need to do. We do like preserving the egg yolks in salt though. That's really, really nice. What else have we got? Amy, the plan is to continue living here. This is our retirement plan, Darryl and my retirement plan. Which is why we're putting the effort into the gardens and things like that, because the idea is that we will live here. This is our forever. The kids, whatever they want to do is fine, but for us, yeah. It's 10:30 a.m. at the moment. Who was that for? That was for Karen. Darling, we use coconut oil for a lot of things, but I do not like their mayo. So we use it for that though. Alrighty. I think that's Isabel. Chickens. We have our chickens are in flux at the moment. We lost a lot of the rescue chickens in the cold weather because they don't survive. They're just weaker chickens. So we bought rescue chickens a while ago, a couple of years ago, and we lose some of them. We got some young chickens coming up, and then we'll start hatching more at the end of in sort of August, September time. So I'm not sure exactly how many we have at the moment, to be honest, but a fair few. Alrighty, I think I'm going to cut it off here. Hi Tanya, because we're at about an hour, and I'm going to go inside and sort out some breakfast for when Darryl and the kids come back from church, or brunch, whatever you want to call it. So firecracker, yes, we're fully on solar. 5:30 p.m. So it probably was a good sort of a time to do it. I think it was an okay time for it was when I normally put a video out, so I thought that would work. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys on the next video.